Good morning, church. Please be seated. I am Reverend Jacob. I am so glad that all of you are here with us on this beautiful Veterans Day morning. Will you please join me in the call for worship? What do you bring before our God this day?
We bring our hopes and our dreams before our God.
What do you seek?
We seek peace for our brothers and souls.
You will find it in this place. For this is the house of our God, who loves you.
Open our hearts and our spirits, O God, to hear your words of comfort and peace. Amen.
Amen. It is, as I have said, Veterans Day. If you have served in the military and you are a vet, would you please, as you are comfortable and able, please rise so that we may honor and recognize you.
Set a car alarm off.
Our alarm outside is also recognizing you. So, as we start the service, I really want to acknowledge all of you who were just standing in spirit as well as body. We see you, we love you. Many of us, I know now their car alarms are they're saying to each other, just go with it. So we see you, we love you, many of us have not walked where you have walked. But I'll just hold off on my profound statement about how we love our best. You park outside, inside, your car is going on.
Debbie, would you hit yours? Okay,
Keep it going.
a purple SUV.
Mine's the Rolls Royce convertible.
All right. Yeah. All right, beloveds, we're going to ignore the sound. We're just going to go on the service. If you're parked out there, please go outside. I think we're good. All right. We have the first time visitors, that's probably good. All right, beloveds, please close the door.
We still have.
All right, let's pray. Loving God, we thank you. We thank you for the veterans who are here with us and those who are not here. God, we lift up our hearts to you. We lift up the suffering and the hardships that our vets and so many others have experienced. We honor those who have been of service. Thank you, God, for all of the ways that you inspire us to come towards you with our hearts and our love. Amen. Amen. All right. Oh, sorry, I thought this was kind of a car alarm, so came early this Sunday. Beloved friends, please rise as you are able for greeting one another with a sign of God's peace.
Into this place, welcome into this broken vessel. You desire to abide in the praises of your people. So we lift our hands and we lift our hearts as we offer up this praise unto your name. Into this place, welcome into this broken vessel. You desire to abide in the praises of your people. So we lift our hands and we lift our hearts as we offer up this praise unto your name. So we lift our hands and we lift our hearts as we offer up this praise unto your name. As we offer up this praise unto your name.
All right, beloveds, please be seated. Not these beloveds. Prior to not being announced today, it's gonna be quick. All right, next Saturday, we have two very exciting things happening in the life of our church. One is Holy Hiking, which is at Upper Tampa Bay Park, 8001 Double Branch Road off West Hillsborough Avenue. And the Metro Wellness Veterans MCC Tampa combined big, huge Trans Fashion Expo is next Saturday right here from noon to 6. Everyone is welcome. There will be workshops and all kinds of things on trans inclusion. Please bring your friends, especially your trans and non-binary, gender non-conforming friends to this event. Each person who comes to the event will be entered into a raffle. It's a great opportunity to get some really important information. Next Sunday, we are having our HIV testing here for Metro Wellness. And lastly, we, as you know, Thanksgiving is right around the corner. We, as always, have a meal here on Thanksgiving Day. There are pans in the back where you can grab some, pick what you're going to bring, and come join us for service at 10:30 in the morning and a Thanksgiving meal afterwards. How about that for quick announcement? Thank you, choir.
Please join us in singing our praise music if you like. Praise any way you like. Good job, guys. Stand, come back, whatever you feel like doing. We want to be friends with God. Here we go.
You have called me friend. I am a friend of God. I am a friend of God. I am a friend of God. You call me friend. I am a friend of God. I am a friend of God. I am a friend of God. You call me friend. I am a friend of God. I am a friend of God. I am a friend of God. You call me friend. Friend of God. I am a friend of God. I am a friend of God. You call me friend. You call me
So you can with us, this is a beautiful song that we can pray out loud together. The Psalm 23.
tenderly behind me. I won't fear. Filled with anointing, my heart's overflowing. No weapon can harm me. I won't fear. Always guides me through mountains and valleys. The joy is refreshing, restores my soul. Mercy and goodness gives me assurance that I'll see your glory face to face. I am not alone. Spirit lives within me, so I will walk in your peace. Your Spirit lives within me, my victory, my victory. Your Spirit lives within me, so I will walk in your peace. Your Spirit lives within me, my victory, my victory. Your Spirit lives within me, my God, my victory, my victory, my victory, my victory, my victory. Hallelujah, I am not alone. Always holds me Hallelujah, I am not alone. Always holds me One more time. Hallelujah, I am not alone. God's my comfort always holds me close.
All right, kiddos. Come on up. No one can see ZP. He had his eyes covered with paint. Yeah, there we go. What is special about tomorrow? Do you have school tomorrow?
It's cool.
There's no school tomorrow. Why? Because today is a special day. We get to not have school tomorrow. We felt it. You know why?
Wait, what? What is cool about
School tomorrow? I don't know if it's not school tomorrow. They go to school on Veterans Day. I don't have school tomorrow, but that's because I graduated. Oh, all right, we have a special about today.
birthday?
Happy birthday. It's not today.
No.
No. I believe in the birthday month, so it's good. What's special about today? It's Veterans Day. Of course, I usually text my own kids now and say, "You said you have school tomorrow." What is Veterans Day? Good job.
Yay.
Whoa. He was really smart for that. All right. Good job. So the reason why we celebrate every year on November 11th is that has been World War I ended. And that ended, how many years ago do you think World War I ended? You want to guess? how old are you?
Four.
Do you think it was before you were born? Okay, no, so you were more than 4 years. Wait. Well, how old are you? Is it before you were born? All right, more than 8 years. Maybe a lot more than 8 years. Let me guess the number. More than 8. 20. One more guess. Getting closer. It was 100 years ago. To be fair, when you're 4 or 8,
Or
20
51.
or 100 is pretty much the same number. You're welcome, all of us who are now. So we celebrate this day that the war ended, and we celebrate with lots of other countries too who are celebrating today, and honoring those who lost their lives and honoring those who served. So let's say a very, very special prayer for our veterans today. Ready? Loving God, thank you. Thank you for these beautiful kids and all that they are learning about the world around them. Thank you for the lessons that vets in this congregation have taught us, about their service and their love. And God, thank you for this whole congregation that can hold one another in times when it's hard and when you're struggling. Thank you for the blessing of these children. Amen. Amen. All right, kiddos. Right. Good job.
And now we join together to raise and pray the prayers of the people. In this congregation, we have cards where people leave prayer requests. They're prayed over during the week. And then on Sunday, we join together as a community and raise these prayers to our loving God. Please join me once again in prayer. Loving God, today we do honor all of those who serve. And many of them came back, God, wounded in spirit, wounded in their soul for all they experienced. They're hurting, God. And we raise them to you. And many of them who have PTSD, so many of them, God. 20 or more each day commit suicide and die by suicide, God. And we raise them, we raise those that love them to you. So many of them, God, are wandering the streets, homeless. So many of them, God, are in such hurt. We ask for your grace. We ask for your mercy. We ask in a special way that you surround them with your love. We ask that you use our hands and our arms to also surround and actively support them, God, that they may be blessed in you. God, there's also many of us who are experiencing deep trauma. Some of them lost life partners, other close family members in the past few days and weeks, God. We raise them to you, and we ask that you be with them in a special way. There's some others from our congregation, God, who are in the hospital, especially one in our communities battling pneumonia, God. We raise each of them to you and ask and pray you surround them with healing love, energy, and you be with them and touch their spirits. Others are dealing with complications with illnesses and weaknesses, pains in their body are starting to surface up. Even in these situations, we ask in a special way that you reach out and touch each of us. Touch our hearts that we may be the loving, giving community to share that love. Hear our prayer, God above, as we come to you and seek your patient love. Hear our hearts, hear our minds, hear the echoes of the words we cannot find. So we pray, His word keep come, as we come to see your kingdom come. We ask with one voice. We ask with one voice to God the loving one. Today's first reading is from Ruth. Naomi, Ruth's mother-in-law, said to her, "My daughter, shouldn't I seek security for you so that things might go well for you? Now, isn't Boaz, whose young woman you were with, our relative? Tonight he'll be winnowing barley at the threshold floor. You should bathe, put on some perfume, and wear nice clothes and go down to the threshing floor. Don't make yourself known to the man until he has finished eating and drinking. When he lies down, notice the place where he's lying. Then go and cover his feet and lie down, and he will tell you what to do." Ruth replied to her, "I'll do everything you tell me. Stay the night, and in the morning, if he'll redeem you, good, let him redeem. But if he doesn't want to redeem you, then, as the Lord lives, I myself will redeem you. Lie down until the morning." So she lay at his feet until the morning. Then she got up before one person could recognize another, for he had said, "No one should know that the woman came to the threshing floor." He said, "Bring the cloak that you have on and hold it out." She held it out, and he measured out 6 measures of barley and placed it on her. Then she went into town. She came to her mother-in-law, who said, "How are you, my daughter?" So Ruth told her everything the man had done for her. She said, He gave me these 6 measures of barley, for he said to me, go away empty-handed to your mother.
Good morning. Our second reading is from the Gospel of Mark, chapter 12, verses 30 to 44. As Jesus was teaching, he said, "Watch out, the legal experts. They like to walk around in long robes. They want to be greeted with honor in the markets. They long for a place of honor in the synagogues and the banquets. They are the ones who cheat the widows out of their homes. And to show off, they start to say long prayers. They will be judged most harshly." Jesus sat across from the collection box or the temple treasury and observed how the crowd gave him room. Many rich people were throwing in lots of money. One poor widow came forward and put in 2 small copper coins worth a penny. Jesus called his disciples to him and said, "I assure you that this poor widow has put in more than everyone who has been putting money into the treasury. All of them are giving out their spare change, but she, from her place of poverty, has given everything she had, even what she needed to live on." Please join us in singing our lesson songs.
We pray with you, please. Loving God, we thank you. We thank you for your presence in this place. We thank you for your blessings and your lessons, and the love that you share with all of us. Amen. So as we learned this morning from our little ones in the kids' message, either 20 years ago or 50 years ago, definitely more than 4 years ago, World War I ended. It was actually, of course, 100 years ago today. So we are celebrating Veterans Day, and in this country we celebrate all who served. In other countries, they on this day celebrate Memorial Day, those who lost their lives. And maybe celebrate's not the right word, but honor, lift up the names. And on Veterans Day, we do a little bit of that too. We remember, we visit graves of loved ones. And I want to talk a little bit about those who are still here, those vets that we honor. As you heard during the prayer time, it is we recognize that it is not easy to be a vet, even though many of us have not walked the walk that you have. We recognize and honor you. We see you. In this country, about 20 vets a day die by suicide. So we start off this sermon and then we honor in this service, not just vets in general, but really the struggle and what it is like to come back and to maybe not quite fit into the world that you knew before you served. I promise you that even those of us who do not know the exact path that you have been on, that we love you and see you and honor you. And I want to tell you about a group of women who I learned about this week. Does anyone know about the Hello Girls? Anyone listen to NPR? The Hello Girls. It's not the favorite term of the actual group of women, but here is who they were. This is a group of women who in World War I, when it was a long time before women could in any way really truly serve, these were translators, women who were fluent in English and French, who actually served on the Western Front. That means that they actually went through training. They joined the military. We're talking over 100 years ago. They went through all of the military protocol. They, got their uniforms. They got everything. They went overseas to join the Western Front. They translated. They helped. They were soldiers. They did their work serving this country, and then they came home and everyone said, "Great job." No, just kidding. Everyone forgot they existed. And this group of women who came back home after serving, after, like many women in this era, who stepped up to what it was at the time and still in some ways, unfortunately, is considered man's work, stepped into these roles and said, recognize us as human beings, women who were here in this country, men who were overseas. This was one of the ways that women started to be recognized more and more as, like shockingly as people. So these women who got called the Hello Girls because they were they were operators on the phones, came back and said, we served our country. And they were told, good job, by the government again and again, but they were not told that they could have any kind of benefits. They were told that they weren't really honored or recognized. And every time there was a new president, they appealed again and again, and over the years, more and more of them died off. And then in 1977, it was President Carter who finally acknowledged them for their military service, honored them, and said, yes, you are in fact veterans. So as we honor the vets, as we honor those who have served, we honor people who have served in all kinds of ways that are not recognized. Families who were left behind, families who never had their loved ones return, we honor all of it. What we have learned is that often people put their bodies on the line. What does it mean to put our bodies on the line? Well, sometimes it is not our choice, and other times it is because of extraordinary love. So today we heard two stories in our scriptures about extraordinary love. The first, the story of Ruth and Naomi. Again, powerful women who were not fully recognized for the power that they held. So let me give you a little synopsis of Ruth and Naomi. Naomi had two sons, and her two sons married two women. One is Ruth and one is Orpah. And then Naomi's husband died, And as I've mentioned in sermons before, when a woman is widowed in biblical times, it is not a good state of affairs for this woman. Women largely unable to take care of themselves, not because women are unable to take care of themselves, but in a society in which women are not treated equally. I mean, think about it. It was only in 1977 that these women that served in World War I were given some recognition. So think about this, all these thousands of years earlier, what it was like for these women when they were widowed. So Naomi was widowed, and then her sons died, so her daughters-in-law were also widowed. She said to her daughters-in-law, you need to return to your families. It was their only chance for survival. And here's what Ruth said to Naomi. This scripture always gets me. Do not press me to leave you or to turn back from following you. Where I go, you will go. Where you lodge, I will lodge. Your people shall be my people, and your God, my God. Where you die, I will die. There I will be buried. May the Lord do thus and so to me, and more as well, even death parts me from you. Now we know these words. Many of us have heard them in wedding ceremonies. This is a story of extraordinary love. And yeah, it's possible that Ruth and Naomi were in love. It is possible that they were romantically involved, or it is just possible that they loved each other and they said, you are my chosen family, you are who I am choosing to hold on to in this life, and I cannot survive without you. Do you know this kind of love? I hope and pray that all of us can experience this kind of love that says, I would rather not survive without you. If I have to be without you, I don't want to go on. I will do what it takes to survive. And then Ruth put her body on the line so Naomi could survive. She put her body on the line in a way that women have been called to put their bodies on the line for thousands of years. If you took the little class that Craig and I just taught, where we talked about some biblical interpretation, you would have learned, and I'll just take it next time, that sometimes in the Bible they say things that aren't the actual things that they're talking about. So when Ruth is told to uncover Boaz's feet, she uncovered his feet. And she lay down at those feet and became his wife. Ruth offered herself up. And maybe it is true, maybe she fell in love with Boaz, maybe they had this wonderful ride off into the sunset romance, we don't know. But what we know is that in biblical times, because Boaz was in some way related distantly to Naomi, he had an obligation to take care of them if Ruth could persuade him to do so. So Naomi didn't have to die, and Ruth didn't have to die because Ruth was willing to open herself to Boaz. Extraordinary love brings us to do extraordinary things. That love for which you will do anything. So we also heard another story today about a woman with extraordinary love. So again, the context here of a widow. And Jesus says about the legal experts and the scribes, he gives this, he admonishes them. And then we hear the story of the widow. Now here we are in a context where when a husband dies, the wife is not suddenly able to just inherit anything. In fact, these legal experts that Jesus is talking about, these scribes, would take the money because the women couldn't handle it themselves and leave these women destitute. So Jesus is calling them out and saying, what you did is why she doesn't have what she needs to survive. And yet, she believes so strongly. She loves this faith community so much that she gives the last of what she has. And that in that giving, in that extraordinary love, she gives to the temple. Now, this is, of course, a scripture that's used in sermons about you should give till it hurts. And as our beloved Tiffany Nosek says when she gets up to do the offering, you should give till it feels good. This faith-filled offering that the widow gives is everything. And it's not about the amount she gives, it's about the motivation behind it. Not to look holy, not to get praise, but because she is standing behind what she believes in. The theologian Emily Towns tells us that the coins represent a lot more than just money. They represent faith and belief. What is it like to truly have faith, to truly believe in something? To believe in the love that you share with your community, with your family, with the people who you choose as your family. So the faith-filled offering is her presenting all of who she is. She, having nothing, lives in a place of abundance that so few of us can live into. Abundance isn't just about having a lot, it's about trusting that there is enough. When we give and we give and we give, sometimes it breaks us. I'm not talking about financially, I'm talking about giving of ourselves and our spirits. And then we come to church, and we come to the people we love, we come here seeking to be filled. And yes, I'm not going to be like, so we're going to we're all we need is spiritual fulfillment, we're not going to take up an offering. We are going to take up an offering. Amen, says our recent treasurer. Still celebrating. Handed off that role to someone else. We have a structure of giving in our culture where we want to look good. We have a culture that puts so much value on things like never taking a day off, on being overworked, on being exhausted, that it strips us of who we are and it can break us. How can we give in a way that fulfills us? How can we give of our spirits, give of our resources in a way that promotes the love that we experience, the extraordinary love of community? I'm not going to pretend that this has been an easy week in this country. I'm not going to pretend that it's been an easy month. We have an epidemic of mass shootings. We have seen the language about shootings shift from I've heard of a mass shooting to people saying the first mass shooting that I survived. No one should ever say the sentence, the first, as opposed to the second or even the third. This is a common thing that people are talking about. I knew what to do this time because I survived it last time. I heard this on the news so many times this week. Why do we live in a culture that is so spiritually broken that mass shootings are normal? Why do we live in a culture where so many people are dying by suicide? Where have we fallen short? I believe in the unimaginable, incredible, extraordinary love that we have for each other here. And I know that, the fires in California and the last shooting that happened, and the next one that's going to happen, all feel like they're far away from here. But I believe that the love that is in this room is the answer to all of it. Because it's not just us, right? We love in this space, and we take that love out of this space. When we choose to love in a way that opens our hearts, we are transformed. And sometimes we are truly called to put our bodies on the line in many different ways. We are called to give We are called to be fulfilled by the Spirit. So I won't say you should be like a widow and give your last penny, and that's what Jesus said. That's not what Jesus is talking about. This is about hospitality. And yes, I am asking you, I am begging you. I am saying that you should give. But not because there's some punishment. I'm asking you because I love you and I love this community. And I hope that all of you who give so much of your hearts and your time and your treasure will continue to give of your hearts and your time and your treasure. And I will say one more thing on giving is that my relationship to this church, my relationship with my husband and my family were transformed when I decided to start giving more to this church. And when I was newly here, and I had, when I started here, I had $150,000 in student loan debt. And I took out so that I could qualify to be here. $150,000. And I thought, well, how can I possibly give to the church? And I'll tell you what, it's not some prosperity gospel thing like you give and God will send you a lottery ticket. But the abundance that I feel by giving. And if I forget to bring money, I forget to bring a check, and I go on to PayPal or I use the Square, that's what I do. We give every week. Every week. And on those weeks when things are not so great, we give a little. And on those weeks when things feel like the abundance is overwhelming and beautiful, we give a lot. And it has transformed us. Because when we give, truly give, we are part of this thing that we love. Don't walk away from this thinking, I think you got there and ask for money. I'm asking for love. I'm asking for commitment. I'm asking that when we leave this place, we know that this is our home. And we're not only in church on Sundays, we are always in church. We know what it is like to have our bodies on the line and our spirits on the line, and we will fight. Our beloved vets have taught us to fight for what we truly believe in. Here, the love in this space. Amen.
Good morning, I'm Neil Mobley. I've been asked to give the talk for offering today. I've been attending this church for, coming up on 20 years now. And it's been such a source of support and love for me through a lot of ups and downs. And I suspect many of us feel the same way about it. The church serves so many people in this congregation in the need to food pantry and other efforts. We have a very hardworking board and pastor that ran a lot of fundraisers like bingo last night. It was really great. I encourage you to try to think the next one. Didn't last night. But we also have a weekly opportunity to support the goals of the church as we close in on paying off the mortgage and other important goals. And I just hope as the plate passes this morning, you'll think about the ways the church has supported you and supported others in this community. Give generously. Thank you.
Please join us in singing our doxology as we prepare for our communion celebration. Please stand with the Holy Spirit as you're able.
Loving God, we thank you for these gifts. We thank you for calling us to be all in, to love you fully and to be part of this community that calls us to you. Amen.
Amen. Please be seated. We take this opportunity to pause and honor Christ, honor our neighbor, and honor the stranger, both here and throughout the world. At MCC Tampa and MCC churches around the globe, we do celebrate an open communion. This means that you don't have to be a member of this church or of any religious community to participate in this remembrance and in this celebration. There will be communion stations around the room where you can receive the elements and a blessing. There's also a self-service station here in the front. That's where the gluten-free option is available. All of the stations use non-alcoholic grape juice. The intent is that no one is to be excluded from this remembrance, and all may participate.
We open our hearts to God in this time. We confess that we have not always done what is best for ourselves, for others, or for the earth. We ask for forgiveness. We thank God for this opportunity to do better, to make the best decision, to stand in solidarity with others, and to protect the earth.
It was on a night when Jesus was gathered with his beloved community for a meal, that he took it to his hands, read it to his hands. He raised it, he gave thanks, he blessed it. He broke it and said, "This is my body broken for you. As you eat it, remember me."
At the close of the meal, he took the cup into his hands, gave thanks for it and blessed it. He shared it with his beloved, saying, "This is my blood, my life force, my love, poured out for you and for many. As you drink from this cup and eat this bread, know that I am always with you."
Our loving God, we ask for transformation. We ask that you transform these elements into your presence in our lives, that we may know you coming to us and loving us and touching us where we need to feel that love in your presence most, so that we truly can remember you and be your voice in this world. Amen. Now please rise as you are able in either body or spirit, so that we may sing the prayer that Jesus taught us.
Please be seated. The table is set. The meal is prepared. Please come as the ushers direct. All are welcome at the table of God. The gifts of God for the children of God. Amen.
Together,
Loving God, we offer you gratitude for this meal, for what it has meant over the centuries and what it means today. We thank you for your inspiration and hope that the future brings. God, help us to take your peace and your wisdom from this place and be a blessing to others. Amen.
Amen.
Please rise as you are able for our processional hymn, Glory, Glory, Hallelujah. For our benediction today, our little ones are gonna give me a hand. Come on up. Come on. All right. Come forward. All right. The kids, oh, a sticker, cool. So these kiddos today made crowns with these. Come on, Ziggy.
Oh, wow.
They have handmade cards for all of our veterans. So if you could please raise your hand so that these beautiful children can know who to give the cards to. And you can look at this thing right here, so sit down.
Come on, guys, we're gonna pass it out.
Thank you.
Wait. This young man, this one.
All right, beloveds, please go from this place knowing that you are loved.